Hey Emily, just looking at this design. I like it. I think it looks good. Um, I think that the things that you have in here are really good things to have in here, like the student to faculty, job placement rate, how much they get in a financial aid, areas of study. The one that maybe isn't, I don't know if this will compute in students' mind as being a large number for financial aid or not. I don't know if there's a different statistic that would be more impactful for students. I mean, it sounds like a lot, but that might not mean much to them. I don't know. That's the only one, but I don't think if you really can't find a better statistic that you think sounds good, then I think it's a good one to have in there. It's just a nitpicky thing, really. I don't think it even really matters that much. Um, the only thing maybe with the text is maybe make this future text like even more bold so that there's even more contrast between this text and this text. Um, just because they are different weights, but like almost like not enough to look really purposeful. So you could try making that just a little bit. You might have to add a stroke of, point or 2 point stroke or something, depending on how big your file is, I guess. But just to make it a little bit more bold so that there's more contrast between those two. And then one other thing I noticed that's not a huge deal, but it's something that I notice is like the fact that studies on its own line and rate is hanging out all by itself too. But another thing about that is that, you kind of have two lines with your other things too. So I don't know if it's possible to get everything on one line without shrinking the text down too much. But that might require that you have less space in your margins here, which I mean, I guess you're kind of lining these up to the edge of this potentially. Although they are in a little bit, so they're not totally lining up. So you could try to maybe fit them in on one line, and that might mean bringing down the font size. Of course, you don't want it too small. So I guess you'll have to, check your point size and just make sure that it's still going to be legible from a relatively far distance. And maybe these lines, they're kind of stark. Like maybe you could try like a dotted line instead of just a straight one. Might look better. I don't know. And also, I don't know if they're all the same width. That might help make it look a little cleaner. I don't know if you tried that already, but the dotted line might help to kind of, I don't know, disguise the fact that maybe they're not the same size or width. But you could try them the same width. Maybe you've already tried that. I don't know. But other than that, I don't see anything wrong with it at all. I mean, maybe you could try this in the gold color, although this might pop off better the way that you have it. And I think you have like a screen maybe over kind of a triangle-y thing going. You could try making the screen an effect, like a multiply, and you might get like a richer color for your background. Other than that, I don't see anything else that I notice. I really like this photo that you have of Cowan, and like I like the placement of these photos, and I think the photos are good photos. My least favorite photo is probably this one, but it does show students they're smiling and they're interacting. And it's not that I don't like the photo, it's just not fitting super well. Maybe you could just rotate it a little bit so that her face isn't, or her head isn't getting cut off quite so much. Maybe you already tried doing that. And maybe it'll look funny if you do it, but you could give it a go and see what it looks like. And maybe moving just everything down just a little bit so that there's a little bit more space for Montana State University Northern, maybe. Just moving everything down, so that, you don't have quite so much space down here at the bottom, and you just have a little bit more space to play with up here so that your logo has more like, maybe a little bit more room, breathing room. But other than that, like, I think this looks really good.